Hey, so I just wanted to make a quick video about the new thing that I've been learning recently. So I've been teaching myself Angular 2, how to use the next kind of version of the Angular framework. I've enjoyed working with Angular 1, and I think I'm going to enjoy working with Angular 2 even more from what I've learned so far. So I've basically just gone through the kind of Hello World app and stuff, and or the tutorial app that they have on their thing, which is like a heroes dashboard that they make. So I've gone through and done this, and I recommend that anyone interested in learning it goes and does it, because it's quite quick, it's quite straightforward to go through it. They have lots of like example code and stuff that you can use, and yeah, it's pretty interesting how it works, how they've changed it compared to Angular 1. And I think it's going to be very big in terms of the future of kind of development and what people build, how people make apps, because I think there's definitely going to be there definitely is a trend towards the kind of hybrid apps for desktop, mobile, and the browser. But yeah, I think it's really going to be really good. One thing I noticed when I was working with it was that it's a lot more complicated to get started than Angular 1. So you need a lot more. With Angular 1, you can kind of just create if you want to really keep it simple, you can create a single HTML document, import the Angular framework, and then just create like a very basic one-page Angular app all in that one file. So you could do it, you can put just inline JavaScript and HTML and stuff. And not that I would recommend doing that, it's just that you can do it. You can start from very little, you can start from a very basic app, and you can build something. But you can't really do that with Angular 2, because if you look, just the kind of beginner's guide to it. This is all the code. Actually, no, this is a different project. This is the code for the kind of Tour of Heroes app. So if you look, there's all these files, and this kind of, just to make it quite a simple app, you've got to have this system.js config to handle the imports and stuff, and this TypeScript config, and this package.JSON. So you've got to have quite a lot of things to get going with Angular 2. So at first I thought, well, it's a bit, I don't really like anything that is really complicated just to get a simple thing up and running and a simple app going, because it's, I don't want to spend an hour having to just create the basic skeleton of the project just to get started to make a simple app. Like, I want to be able to just hit the ground running and go and just make something from scratch. So I was a bit turned off by that, but then I found that they're working on this thing called Angular CLI, which is an Angular command line interface. If you Google Angular CLI, they do have a website, it's cli.angular.io, and this is basically a toolkit that gives you some command line interface commands that can just save you a hell of a lot of time when working with Angular, and it also helps ensure that people make things in kind of a standardized way, and it has in mind the full process of the deployment. So actually creating the project, working on the project, creating new components and parts of the project, and then testing the project, building it into a distributable like version of the project. So taking out all the kind of not all the dev dependencies and stuff, and just making a kind of deployable package, and all that stuff. So I think this is going to be really useful when it comes to when it finally launches. So this is Angular has recently, in the last few months, Angular 2 has recently launched as kind of production ready. Angular CLI is still in the beta phase, so it's still a beta version, but it works very well to do the basic things that you need to do. But they don't explain it on the tutorial, because I think it's still in the beta phase, so they're still working on it. But to get started, it's just it's an npm package, so you can install it with the Node package manager. So if you don't have Node.js already, then go ahead over to nodejs.org and download that from here for your operating system. It's available on all operating systems, Mac, PC, and Linux. So there's no reason why you can't run it. So once Node's installed, you load up your terminal, your command prompt or whatever, and you type sudo. If you're on Windows, you don't need the sudo. You just need to probably run command line in administrator mode. But you just type sudo you actually have your installation instructions here on GitHub. So it's sudo npm install g for global, because you want to install it globally on the computer and not just locally in the project, in the file that you're in. npm install g global Angular CLI, and this will install your Angular command line interface tools, and it will give you access to the commands. So I already have it installed, so hopefully this doesn't take too much time. But basically, once it's installed, it'll give you a bunch of, more or less, they're basically shortcuts to allow you to kind of quickly create and get up and running with a project. So this actually, it allows you to get up and running with a new project with all the files and all the dependencies set up in just literally seconds or minutes, because it installs packages, but it only takes a second to run the command. So now, once this is installed, we have the ability to make a very nice starter project for Angular. So we change to a directory where you like to keep your code. I like to keep it in workspace, and then I'll put it in Angular2. And if we want to start a project, we simply type ng new, then the project name, as it says here in the doc. So we'll call this demo project or demo proj. And this will create all the dependencies that you need to start a new project. And it'll get up and running. And now you can see that it's installing packages for tooling via npm, no package manager. So while that's installing, we can actually open this. So here you have a project, just in a few lines of code. It's created all these projects, or sorry, all these files, and it's set up. It's set it up so that you can, so that it's testable. It's set it up in a modular kind of structured file system. It's configured all your TypeScript. It's configured your Angular CLI and your package.JSON. Has created everything basically. So everything you need for the project to get going is created. So there is quite a lot of dependencies, because there's quite a lot of tools that are required for this, for Angular 2. So it takes a little while for it to install these packages, but once it's done, then it'll basically give us a nice clean slate to start from. So a nice clean structured standard application. So you can see in here you got your Angular CLI. This is the config for the Angular command line interface. You got your Karma config, which is for the testing. You got your package.json, which is for the dependencies, and the node package if you want to deploy it as a node package, npm on npm, and various other things. So even a README, even put stuff in the README for you to tell you how to get going. That's cool. So that's basically how you can get the app up and running, and then you can actually even run the server. So you don't need to worry about which kind of development server you're going to use, because it all comes conveniently in the CLI for the new Angular 2 CLI. So this is going to actually run it's going to build our project, and then it's going to run a web server that we can actually navigate to, which for some reason it doesn't tell you which port it runs on, but I've done this already, so I know that it runs on localhost 42000. And there you go, you have our app there. App works, just to make sure we know we're in the right app. We'll put test. And it should automatically refresh the page for us. There you go, so test. And then we can even change our TypeScript code. Change it to Kaizen for continuous never-ending improvement. And it should refresh the page. There you go. So you can see that this is very quickly, and what used to take probably an hour of setting up gulp files or whatever it was you wanted to use, and setting up npm commands and stuff to run the project and develop it locally, and it's local server, all that stuff, and then worry about compressing the file, minifying the CSS and all that stuff for the deployment. It does all that for you, because it basically gives you the ability to create a new project and get up and running and start developing very quickly. You can also, it also has ng, I think it's called build. So this will build the project into a to make it deployable. So build it into a package that could be deployed on the server. I haven't actually used it yet, but here you go. You can see that it's ran the it's turned all of our projects into all of these into like quite a small group of files. And my guess is that you can just take this file and put it on a server, and then you can start serving your application. Although I haven't got that far yet, but as soon as I do, I'll probably make a video on that, deploying it. But yeah, there you go. That's the Angular CLI. I recommend you check it out. You go over to their GitHub page. You can see all the latest developments, and you can see all the documentation there. It also has it allows you to create all the components and the services, like with empty template classes for that. So if you want to type ng for generate component, my awesome component, it will create all of that for you. It will create all the files, and it will structure them in nice groups in folders. You can actually also do the same with a service. So service, my awesome service. It must be provided to be used. Okay, cool. So it's created the service for us somewhere. It's created it inside. Oh no, it's created my awesome service. So it seems to have didn't create the service in its own directory. It just created it in the root. Yeah, here. So just create it here. So I'm not sure why I did that. Maybe they recommend that you don't put services in their own directories, or maybe you need to specify that manually. Haven't got that far yet, but I can see that this Angular CLI tool, I'm definitely going to be using it myself. And I recommend if you want to do any Angular development or any kind of rapid mobile or web app development, I recommend you check it out. So yeah, have a go. Let me know your thoughts, and if you have any questions or any feedback, or you want to share your experience or anything, feel free to do that in the comments. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.